If you're new to our channel, we'd love to have you join our little community. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We promise it will be worth your while.
They paraded to the room with the mirror where Gerald opened the closet door. Tim could see several dresses hanging there. "I don't have to hide things from you any longer," Gerald told him as if he read Tim's thoughts. "And I thought you might like something." He turned and held out a new dress in Tim's size. Tim's mouth dropped open as he reached out to hold the dress. "Is this for me?" he gasped. "I thought you might like something better than the school uniform this time," he explained. "I also picked up some new panties and bra for you. I looked at the clothes you left here last time for the sizes. Sorry, nothing silky or lacy. I think 14 is a bit too young for that right now." "Okay." Tim looked the dress over. Lime green, sleeveless, high waist with a full skirt. He held it against himself, checking the length. Pretty short, well above his knees. "Dad, I love it. I'm going to my room to change. Where are my other things?" Gerald went to a dresser and opened a drawer on the right. "I've set these 2 drawers aside for your things." He indicated the drawer below. "These are traveling clothes. Once we get through the mirror, you'll find you have plenty of clothes. Remember the nightgown you had? We'll just have to check things out later. Now grab some things, change, and let's start our weekend." Tim rushed over and grabbed a clean pair of panties, a bra, socks. He had noticed the shoes from the previous weekend in the bottom of the closet, so he returned to get them, and carrying it all, he went off to his room. Gerald selected his own outfit, his underwear of a much more grown-up variety. He slipped on the satin and lace panty and the matching bra, thinking that it wasn't time to let his son indulge in such things yet. A few more years, if he didn't lose interest in this, he'll be ready to express himself in his own ways. He grabbed a dress and pulled it down over his head, smoothed it down his hips. He liked the form-fitting dresses, a special why since he knew how well his body transformed to fit it. He just finished slipping his foot into his high heel when Tim burst back into the room in his new dress. "Ready?" he beamed. Gerald stood up. "I'm ready. Now, I haven't ever tried going through with someone else. Last time you ended up at the school and I ended up at home. I think we should try holding hands as we do it." "Okay." Tim reached out his hand while staring at the mirror. Gerald took it and they moved in front of it. It was too narrow for them to walk through side by side, so Gerald decided he would go first to be sure he didn't let go of Tim's hand. "If we get separated, just turn around and go back through. We'll work out a different plan, but I don't want to spend all night trying to figure out where you went, okay?" Gerald asked. "Okay, I promise." Tim was staring at the mirror and fingering the dress. Gerald nodded, turned, and reached out to the mirror. His fingers entered that glass as it rippled slightly. He took a step and slipped into another bedroom as Miranda. He glanced back and saw the small hand of his daughter emerging from the mirror and was quickly followed by the rest of her. Trina was back. Trina giggled nervously. She ran her hands over herself. "It really did happen. I am a girl." "Yes, I suspect you are, and I am very much a woman and your mother." "Yes, Mother," Trina giggled. "Are we going out to dinner? How long before we leave?" "Yes, we are going out. I didn't think we should waste this opportunity to enjoy ourselves. There is a nice little restaurant we can go to, not too fancy, so the dress you have on will be fine, as is mine. By the way, do you like your new dress?" "Oh, yes." Trina took a fistful of the dress on each side and spread it out, twisting back and forth. "I loved it before and I love it now." "Good, but don't wrinkle it too badly," she grinned. "I'm going to go to my room for a little while until we go, okay?" Trina asked. "That's fine," Miranda answered. "I want to check some things and we'll know everything about our life here within a couple minutes. It'll be just like we always lived here, except we'll remember our other life too. Until our last trip here, I didn't have a daughter. Not until you went through the mirror, so I want to think about that for a bit." They decided to head out to dinner after a few minutes. Trina was anxious to go out and show off her new dress that her mother bought her. The memories of the event were call-eying in her mind, but she found she just needed to focus a bit to keep from being too confused. If someone asked her, she would share the story of her mother surprising her, but her father giving Tim a dress warmed her heart. Last time they were here, it was a rush and so confusing. This time she savored the change. The mother-daughter pair spent the weekend like they were on vacation. Museums, movies, dinners out, the zoo. All too soon it was Sunday afternoon, and they stood before the mirror that would return them. I've had such a good time. Trina squeezed her mother's hand. So have I, sweetie. Miranda returned the squeeze. They stepped back through the mirror. Gerald looked at Tim. I guess you should go change. Your mother won't appreciate seeing you in that dress, believe me. Okay, Dad. Tim turned and hugged his father tight, then rushed off to his room. Gerald sighed and began undressing, preparing to return his son to his mother. A few moments later, Tim returned and asked his father, I remember the things we did together, but I don't remember anything else about Trina's life. Gerald nodded. I've noticed that too. The only thing I can think of is, so if something happens that changes your life there, you don't get confused by remembering two different lives there. It is tough enough remembering this life exists and one life there. For months on the weekend that Tim was with his father, it was the same routine. Tim would arrive, select a dress for the trip. Sometimes it was one he already had. On a couple occasions, his father would buy him a new dress that he thought Tim might like. Today, Tim put on a floor-length dress Gerald had gotten him. They stood in front of the mirror, Gerald dressed in a fancy black dress with stockings that he almost never wore, and high heels. Let's go have a special birthday dinner. Gerald took Tim's hand. 15 today. Tim nodded and grabbed the dress, pulling it up so he wouldn't trip as they went through the mirror. To their surprise, they weren't in the bedroom they usually came through to. Instead, it was a bathroom with expensive-looking tile, multiple sinks, and style S. Miranda walked to the door and pulled it open. It was some huge gala going on outside. She could see many people all dressed to the nines outside. She signaled Trina to come along. We should never trust the mirror to do what we want, she explained. We are at a charity event. I promised to bring you for your birthday because we could get all dressed up. So, let's go enjoy ourselves. If you behave like a good girl, I may even give you a sip of my champagne. Thank you, Mama, for bringing me, Trina grinned. I've been looking forward to this all week. They wandered about the room, ate from the extravagant buffet. Trina made several trips to the dessert table. They laughed and danced and had a terrific evening, and true to her word, Miranda Al owed her daughter a sip of champagne. Miranda's feet were aching, and she begged off going to the dance floor to sit for a few minutes. Trina moved to the floor where she could still be seen. Miranda watched her daughter dancing and realized how much of a young woman she was becoming. Others apparently noticed, as well as a young man came up and started dancing with Trina. At first, Trina was reluctant, but only faltered a moment. She glanced over to her mother, who nodded and turned back to the boy. Miranda watched them dance through 2 songs before Trina waved the boy away and returned to the table. I think we should head home, Miranda offered. It's getting late. My feet are sore from these heels. They are much higher than I am used to. Okay, Trina answered. I'm pretty beat, too. She leaned over and kissed her mother's cheek. This has been the best birthday I've ever had. Thank you. Come on. Miranda stood up and reached for Trina's hand. Let's go to the bathroom. They arrived back in Gerald's house. He groaned and sat on a chair near the mirror. He tucked the dress down between his legs as he brought his foot up and pulled Ed off one shoe, then the other off. Oh, it feels good to get those off, Gerald moaned. For all women complain about wearing dresses or pantyhose or any other number of things, I can at least appreciate needing to get some shoes off. Tim giggled. Are we going back? Change clothes so we show up at the house? Not tonight, I think. He pulled the hem of his dress up and began unhooking one of the stockings. I think we'll just stay here tonight, okay? Yeah, that's fine, Tim answered. He looked back at himself in the mirror. I like how I am growing up. He ran his hands over his now flat chest. Yes, you are quite a pretty young woman over there, Gerald confirmed. That's because I have a beautiful mother. Tim hugged him, then turned to go. Is it okay if I just put on a nightie for tonight? Sure, Gerald answered as he slid the other stocking down his leg. I'm not expecting anyone. I think maybe I'll slip into one myself. Gerald went to the living room in a silky mid-thigh nightgown. Tim was sitting on the couch in a baby doll nightie with white cotton panties. Gerald plopped down and Tim snuggled up with him. They watched a little TV together before the adrenaline of the evening began wearing off. Tim yawned several times, and Gerald suggested it was time for bed. Okay. Tim began slogging toward his bedroom, then turned back. Dad, I really like your nightgown. I like the feel. Do you think that now that I am 15, I might start being able to get something nicer like that? Let me think about that for a bit, Gerald answered, and started toward the hall leading to his bedroom. You are older. I've just got to decide how much older I want to allow you to be. Won't be much longer before I won't be able to stop it. Summer came, and Tim got to spend a week with his father. Gerald told Tim's mom that he was taking him out to a place that they wouldn't be reachable, but that he'd have him back by the next Sunday. He explained that he felt Tim was getting to an age that he may want to get a job to have his own money soon, and that he might not be able to come stay weekends as often. She felt it was still another year away, but accepted they wouldn't be heard from for the week. So, where are we going? Tim asked as he went into the house. Just where I said, Gerald answered, out to the woods and a lake. Only it is a nice little community I went to once before and saw what the summer looked like there. They have a clubhouse with events during the weeknights as well as swimming and boating and lots of fun things to do. Oh, Tim nodded. Sounds like a lot of fun. It will be great. You don't really sound all that enthused, Gerald pointed out. I thought you'd really love being able to wear a nice bikini to go swimming in and a nice dress to dinner, and… He didn't get to finish. Oh, I thought we were going, Tim blurted. I mean us, you and me, not Trina and Miranda. When do we leave? You know how it works. Get changed. He laughed. I bought you a new summer dress. It's on your bed, perfect for the trip to the lake. 20 minutes later, Tim stood there in a short dress, 2 spaghetti straps tied atop his shoulders. Gerald was beside him in a white off-the-shoulder dress with a ruffle atop his breasts and another just above his knees. They stepped through together. They stood in the bathroom of a little bungalow. It was very crowded at the moment. They laughed and worked their way around each other, the sink and toilet and out the door. They decided to take a walk around so Trina could become familiar with where everything was. Indeed, it felt different to Miranda as well, because the time she spent here the before she didn't have a child and didn't pay attention to things that might interest her. And the weather was a lot warmer this time. How do you feel about sports? Miranda asked. Tennis? Golf? Trina searched her memory to see if she ever played either of those before or anything. I don't know, I don't think I have tried either one. Well, then would you like to? Miranda asked. I think I might like to try both. I don't want to sit around all the time. Could be fun. I'll try, Trina answered. They walked to the clubhouse where everything was coordinated. They booked a tennis court for the next day at 10 a.m. for an hour and decided on a tea time for later in the week, as well as arranging club rental. I hope nobody is watching us, Trina opined as they left the concierge. I don't know if I'm going to be any good. We are both trying it for the first time. Just let's have fun, and at least we should look the part. She led them into a small clothing shop. They each picked out a tennis dress and a golf skirt with a top plus all the other little things required. After putting her things away, Trina changed into a bikini. She couldn't help but spend some time looking at herself in the mirror. The tiny red bottom adorned with little flowers tied with little bows at her hips felt like it had everything covered, but also showed a lot of bare skin. Half her butt cheeks were bare. Her body tingled at the thought of exposing so much, and thinking of exposing skin, she adjusted the matching top to be sure her nipple didn't slip out an edge, or her boob out the bottom of it by making sure it was tied tight enough. Her boobs were now big enough to garner attention. She grabbed a cover-up and pulled it on. It disguised things some, but it was pretty sheer. Trina went to the front door to wait on her mother. She didn't wait long before Miranda came from the other bedroom. She had on a black cover-up that looked like a truly short black dress. Miranda checked her purse for the room key, and they went to the pool. They picked a couple of lounge chairs and put their stuff down. Come on, Trina, pull that off and let me put some sunscreen on you. I don't want to spend all week with you trying to recover from a sunburn. Trina looked around and pulled the cover-up off. Well, that certainly doesn't cover a lot, Miranda snickered. I hope I have enough spray here for the both of us. Miranda sprayed Trina all over and let her make sure everything was treated. Then she stood and pulled her own cover-up off, and Trina's eyes went wide. What? My bathing suit covers a lot more than yours does, she defended herself. Not by much, Trina laughed, but you look good in it. Trina sprayed her mother around her black bikini. The top and bottom covered more than what she was wearing, covering her bottom more, and the top had enough material so it didn't look like she might fall out of it. They laid together in the sun for a while before Trina decided she wanted to get in the water. She walked to the edge of the deep end and stepped off the side. As she pushed back to the surface, she felt her top slip to the side as well as her bottom start to slip off. She quickly reached for the side of the pool as she surfaced and reached down to pull her bottom back into place. Then she worked on trying to get her top back in place while facing the side and treading water. It took a little bit, but eventually I got back to decent again. She swam back to the shallow end and watched as her mother got up and came to the stairs that led down into the cool water. It did not miss her attention that most of the men were tracking her mother's progress. Miranda slowly descended into the water. "A lot of the men were watching you pretty close," Trina commented. "Do you think there weren't a lot of eyes on you when you made your entrance into the water? I'm certain they were all wondering if that little bathing suit of yours was going to survive the plunge." "It almost didn't," Trina giggled. "Almost lost both pieces." "Well, that would have been quite a sight. You might have gotten us thrown out of here before we even got really started," she laughed. They slowly swam together to the other end of the pool and back, then sat on the pool steps and chatted. After a while, they returned to the lounges and laid out letting the sun bake them dry. Time to go came, so they tossed their cover-ups on and returned to the bungalow. They sat around until time to dress for dinner. Dinner at the clubhouse was always semi-formal, so they wore nice dresses. All week long, they took advantage of the things offered by the resort. They enjoyed their time playing tennis and golf. A sailboat cruise on the lake was exquisite, and they took many walks in the woods on several of the nature trails. "It's funny," Trina commented as they passed through the shadows cast by the trees. "Every time we came through the mirror before, except when we were dressed for bed, we always wore dresses or skirts. This week I've worn a bathing suit and shorts and a blouse a lot." "Are you saying you don't want to wear dresses any longer?" Miranda asked. "No," Trina answered immediately. "I guess I just thought to really enjoy being a girl I had to be in a dress. I still love wearing a dress, but like these shorts and this crop top, I still feel very feminine." "Okay, I just started to wonder if you were going to tell me this was a last trip." "No, not at all. I love these trips. As a matter of fact, She trailed off. "You what?" Miranda asked. She hesitated. "I want to talk about some things before I finish that other thought. Do you mind talking about some things?" "Well, what kind of things?" Miranda was starting to get concerned. "Well, sex, I guess," Trina admitted. "What I started thinking about was that I am your daughter, and that must mean that you had sex with a man. Unless I am adopted, I guess, then you wouldn't have had to, but I don't have any memory of a father." "First of all, you are not adopted," Miranda assured her. "Not in this world or the other. I do have memories of your father, of having sex with him. It disturbed me a little at first because I hadn't thought about it before. There were times I had wondered about whether I wanted to be with a man or a woman when I was here, but it never was a priority, and I haven't spent enough time here to make a connection with anyone." "Have you ever thought of coming here and staying?" Trina asked. Why? Miranda stopped and looked through a gap in the trees. The sunlight glimmered off the lake in the distance. "Yes, I did. It was shortly after I had gotten the mirror. I had taken a vacation from work and spent a week here. I wasn't on vacation from work here, so I went to the office every day. I loved putting on a dress or a business suit with a skirt and going to work. I felt so me during that week. In the end, I decided to go back." Miranda turned and started full-owing the path again. "Why? Why not stay?" Trina pressed. Miranda stopped and faced her daughter. "Because it would mean leaving someone I love very much behind, and I just couldn't do that." "Oh," Trina muttered. They walked together in silence for a while. Birds chirped, a boat could be heard cruising the lake, the leaves rustled in the breeze. "What if I wanted to stay here?" Trina broke the silence. "What? Here? You mean this little vacation community?" Miranda asked. "No, back home, our home." Trina stopped. "And when I get to go on to high school next year, I'd like to go to a school where I don't have to wear a uniform. I want to decide if I'm going to wear a skirt or a dress or pants if I want to, and I want to wear something other than a white blouse." "What about your mother back on the other side?" Miranda pressed. How do you plan on explaining to her that you not only want to live with me, but that you won't ever see her again? Well, that depends on what you say, Trina explained. If you don't want to be here, then I can't do it. Not now. After I graduate, if you still have the mirror, I could disappear on my own, build my own life here. I'm sure you'd both be upset, but you'd know I was safe. Maybe you'd even be able to visit me. I really need to think about this, Miranda told her. This isn't an easy thing to just jump into. But I have a question. What has this to do with me having sex? Well, I'm pretty confused, Trina admitted. I've thought about what it might be like to have sex. I mean, I've done some things in both worlds to myself, and I can't figure out whether I'll be attracted to boys or girls. Miranda laughed. Sweetie, I don't think you really get a choice. Now, granted, our situation is pretty unique compared to other people, but I think it works the same. One day you will find someone that you're attracted to, and then you'll know. But that may not last, and you'll find someone else. It might always be girls, or always boys, or a boy, then a girl, or whatever you fell into. You are who you are, and if being Trina is who you are, that's great, but that doesn't define who you love. That is something that is part of you that is both Tim and Trina. Oh, Trina began walking again. It's a lot to think about, Miranda went on. But you are 15 and have plenty of time ahead of you to think on those things. As Tim, I'd want you to be careful about having sex at such a young age because you don't want to get some girl pregnant and be tied into that responsibility for the rest of your life. I would hope that your mother and I raised you to be responsible if it came to that. And as Trina, you have to realize that if you got pregnant, the situation it would put you in. It's a lot to think about, Trina admitted. Glad I don't have to decide today. Which did you like more? Sex as a man or as a woman? Yes, Miranda answered. And it makes a big difference in who you have for a partner. I will tell you this. When you are ready for sex, no matter who you are with, make sure it is someone who is interested in pleasing you as you are to pleasing them. Otherwise, it just isn't worth it. I guess I'll find out what that means one day, Trina answered. Come on, let's get back, Miranda quickened her pace. We need to change for dinner. I have one more nice dress that I have been looking forward to wearing tonight. Are you going in a dress or slacks? Oh, a dress for sure, Trina answered. I still want to wear dresses. I just want the option. The next month crawled by for Tim. He didn't spend any time with his father. He stayed at home with his mom, stepdad, and stepsister. Life was pretty good here, but it wasn't the life he wanted. Now that he'd had a taste of life as Trina, it was the life he truly desired. He and his dad had talked after returning from vacation, and he had convinced him that he was serious about wanting that life. After an hour, his father admitted preferring to live as Miranda as well. They made a plan. Tim wrote a note and carefully hid it under his pillow. Nobody would look in his room until it was too late. He explained that he was happier being with his father and that they were going away together where they could live the lives they needed to live. It was his choice, and that he loved his mother very much. He knew his mother would probably try and get the police to find them. Lawyers too, maybe even the FBI. It wouldn't matter. Where they were going, nobody would be able to find them. It was time for another weekend at his father's house, and he gave his mother a long hug and a kiss. She looked at him with curiosity. I love you, he told her as he got out. I love you too, she told him. Have a good time. The best, he told her, and then she drove off. Tim went into the house and straight to his room. There was one outfit left, a red dress with a low scoop neck, red bra and panties. He liked coordinating his underwear with his outfits. The dress had a black belt, so he wore black shoes. He went to the extra room where his father waited. Gerald had Cole acted out their outfits and donated them, except the one last outfit they were wearing for this trip. He wore a tight green skirt with a yellow blouse, green heels. Last chance to change your mind, Gerald told his son. This is what I should be doing, Tim answered. I hope you are okay with this. You aren't doing it just for me, are you? I told you, Gerald explained for the last time. I didn't stay before because I couldn't give you up. I've enjoyed our time together through this last year so much that I would be happy doing just that for as long as you wanted. But if this is what you want, then I am all in with you. Trina smiled and stepped into the mirror, pulling her mother through behind her. They were in the right place, Miranda's bedroom. What'll happen to the mirror? Trina asked. I imagine it will call to someone new to help, Miranda answered. Like it did to me. I held it long enough. Now it will be free to move on. Go change, we will burn these things, and then there will be no going back. Trina nodded and went to her room. Later, they watched the Trina's dress burn along with Miranda's skirt and blouse. Trina didn't want to burn her underwear and pointed out that the mirror wouldn't let them go back unless they were together and dressed exactly the same as when they came through. Destroying one item would have been enough. Trina finished her freshman year. She found she was a lot happier, and that bled over into her grades. She made lots of friends, even succeeded in becoming a cheerleader. Everyone felt she would easily make it onto the junior varsity squad the next year. She also planned on going out for tennis and golf because she and her mom had discovered they both really liked playing so much. Miranda had just gotten a promotion to office manager and was already being talked about to move to a higher position after a year or so. Nobody doubted she wouldn't be able to handle the job. Trina occasional eye worried about how her mother was getting along in the other world. She wished she could explain that she was so happy where she was, but she didn't believe there was any way to make her understand. Trina got a part-time job waitressing. She started dating a boy on the basketball team at school. The first time they kissed, she felt a warmth spread through her. She wondered if it was better or worse than the kiss she had shared with her best girlfriend. They wanted to practice being ready for when a boy kissed them, but they both admitted it was a real, good kiss. Still so much to be decided in life, but at least she had the life she wanted, and her mother always told her how happy she was with the choice they made together.